Hey Jaffa Adventurers, Terry King here. Welcome to the channel. Well, I'm off to pick up a car trailer. And why am I going to pick up this car trailer, you might ask? Well, I bought myself a little bit of a project. Actually, it's quite a big project. You want to see what I'm talking about? Stay tuned for a couple of seconds and all will be revealed. Some of you may be aware that I drive a Maloo, a Holden Maloo at the moment. And I like that car, I like it a lot, but you know what? I don't love it. And I really need to love my cars. Like I'm behind the wheel of the Cruiser at the moment. I love this car, it's just fantastic. Every time I'm behind the wheel, I'm on a little bit of a high. The Maloo, not so much. Fun and everything, but geez, I just don't have that attachment to it. So then I thought long and hard about, well, what vehicle do I want? The Maloo's my daily driver, so I'm looking for a daily driver. I need a ute for my work, so that's that. So what vehicles are out there in the market that I really love and that are a ute? And you know, I've always had a soft spot for this one particular vehicle. Yep, you guessed it. It's a 1974 Toyota FJ45 Cruiser.
It's awesome. Look at the asphalt steering. Nice work.
Nice. Well, thank you, Steve.
That's
Appreciate that, mate. We'll look after her. We'll bring her back to new again. So let's see what exactly have we got here. This guard's in pretty good nick. Just a bit of cancer right down here at the bottom. That shouldn't be too difficult to repair. A couple of patch panels there, no worries. This passenger side guard is completely cactus. That is just solid bog. And in behind there feels like number plates welded in the backside. So that one is toast. Fortunately, with the car came a sandblasted and etch primed replacement panel. So that'll get me out of jail on that one. Like that one guard, the doors are cactus. These white doors are the original doors and they are just completely rotted out along the bottom. What these doors do have though is they've got all the mechanisms and all the glass. And in fact, this one here's got a door card on it. So that's the reason to keep them. And along with those doors came sandblasted and etch primed replacement doors. So that's going to make the door side of things very much easier. The bonnet, she's in pretty good nick. Little dent there, some rust there. Rusting through a little bit on this bib here, this front edge. But other than that, it's pretty straight and pretty clean. The drip edge on the roof has got a little bit of cancer, but it's not too bad. The roof itself, salty's got a lot of surface rust on it, but it looks pretty bloody good. The sills have got a little bit of rust in them, but not a lot. They're pretty solid, so that's excellent. cab itself is awesome. There's no rot in that part there. Those always rot out. And here, this is nice and solid as well. So that's pretty bloody good. Now the floor in this old jigger is in pretty good shape. There's the passenger side footwell. That's all solid as. And same thing with the driver's side footwell. Solid as. Couple of holes where the fuel tank sits, but nothing too terrible. And the back of the cab here is fantastic. That is just solid as. And up here where the cab bolts to the main tub, I guess. Look at that. Again, brilliant. No cancer. Where the roof bolts in the rear. Beautiful. Still got the original windscreen wiper mechanism, which on the pre-74 models I think comes down from the top, and the later models they came down from the bottom. The windscreen frame is really good. The only bit of cancer I could find on it was right here. But other than that, she's just solid as. The dash is pretty unmolested, which is cool. Not sure what that switch is for. I don't think that's factory. Gotta have a bottle opener, don't you? Glove box panels seen better days. And yep, there's some random junk in there too. The original dash bezel is unmolested. 23,500 kilometers. I wonder how many times that's spun around. And the original Toyota wheel is actually in pretty decent shape too. This headlight surround panel has been blasted and cleaned up. A little bit of work to be done here, but overall, that's in bloody excellent shape. In this pail, I've got the original seat belts. Yeah, they all look like they're in pretty good nick too. A couple of body mounts that have been fabricated for the back of the cab. They've actually been done reasonably well, so I will use those. There's the other one. And what do we got in this magical bucket? A couple of big steel plates. No idea. Not sure where that goes. I have to work that out. A square piece of rubber. That looks like a crank handle for a jack. And a couple of mirrors. Might be able to reuse those again. That looks like fuel tank strapping to me. And those there are the fuel tank bands. Bracket, no idea. Hopefully we can get these in reproduction because that one's pretty crusty and toasted. And of course you gotta have a hose clamp, don't you? Side step. The top of it is excellent. This face of it, not so much. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of body work on that one. Got the under seat fuel tank. Doesn't actually look like it's rotted out on the bottom side. I will retire that, however. I'm gonna put a larger tank underneath the chassis, underneath the tray. Got a bucket seat for the driver's side, and that's the passenger side bench seat. So I think what I'll do is keep that bench seat for the passenger side. That looks like a seat rail for the driver's side, and I'll give that bucket seat a flick and see if I can get an original bench seat for the front as well. I'd rather go down that route than have one bucket seat and one bench seat. That'll look a bit dicky. I'm not sure what you call that piece, but headlight surround, bib, whatever it's called, that's in pretty good nick. There's our other side step. That one is in bloody perfect condition. That's awesome. We've got our headlights and headlight buckets. Now that one's a little bit toast. so hopefully you can get them reproduction. Got our bottle jack. I don't know whether that's an original one or a later model Toyota one, but we got one anyway. A couple of sun visors. That's all right. Maybe you'll be able to get those reupholstered. We've got some door rubbers, I guess they are, and a handbrake cable, I think. Got the old wheel spanner. Got all the mounts for the tray, which is an aluminum tray. And that's the shield that goes around the bell housing and clutch. Got the original Toyota grill. It's a bit mangled in a few places. I don't know whether these are available aftermarket or not, but that's not in the best of shape. And there's our cowl tag. 7th month of 74. And there's the trusty old petrol motor. This is an F. She runs well, starts right up, the clutch is good, gearbox seems okay. The previous owner has put new brakes on it all around, so front brakes and rear brakes, all drum of course, but completely reconditioned, and they work fine. Even the handbrake works. Got a set of 33 muddies on it. They are a Hercules trail diggers. They've actually got enough tread on them to pass a roadworthy, which is pretty awesome. They're 33 12.5 15s. I think I'll probably keep those on there. Got no reason to change them out. The chassis is in excellent condition. There's no cancer and no rot anywhere, which is just amazing. So happy about that. And there's the tray that came with it. She is massive. Judging by the holes on the back there, I'd say there was a bench vise on either side at one point in time. I'm not going to end up using that. I'll probably sell that if it's any use to anybody. Now, before I share with you exactly what mods I'm going to be doing to this vehicle, and they're pretty exciting, I just want to make this one point. The primary purpose of my channel will continue with 200 series modifications, four-wheel driving, and camping. This project is going to be sort of a side project, if you want to call it that, in terms of the channel. Therefore, the uploads are going to be reasonably infrequent. I'm not going to be doing a step-by-step build video on this one. That being the case, if you're interested in this one, I'd encourage you guys to subscribe. Because of that infrequency of the uploads, you want to catch those when they do pop up. So that's my tip for you. Let's get on to what mods we're going to do to this thing. Well, first of all, we've got to realize what the purpose of this truck is. This is going to be my daily driver. It's not going to be a four-wheel drive weapon, and it's not going to be used for camping. That'll be my 200 series. So once we understand that, let's talk about the mods we've got in store. So firstly, I want this thing to look externally bog stock. What that means is I'll do the body work, I'll paint it in either a dune beige or a sandy taupe, something like that. Not sure whether I'll go with a tray back or a style side yet, but externally somebody just looking at it would say, geez, that's a really nice looking standard cruiser. But because it's going to be my daily driver, I want to have some mod cons in this thing. So the first thing I want to do is put some disc brakes on it, at least on the front, possibly on the rear. If you've got any comments or suggestions on where to source those disc brakes, like a 60 series for example, let me know down in the comments because I'll be very interested in that feedback. Second mod con I need to have is air conditioning. As I said, it's going to be a daily driver. I don't want to be sitting on the packed motorway sweating my ring out in 45 degrees Celsius doing 2 kilometers an hour. So gotta have AC. Next mod con, long range tank. As most of you will probably know, there's a very small tank that sits underneath the driver's seat. I want to eliminate that and put a long range tank within the chassis rails so that I've actually got some range in this car, especially given the motor I'm going to be putting in it. And the last mod con in terms of the chassis, power steering. At the moment, it's got 33s on it, quite wide tires, no power steering. This is an absolute bugger to steer in traffic. So I got to get myself some power steering. I'm not getting any younger. Again, if you've got any suggestions on the power steering unit that I could use, let me know in the comments below. I'd be very interested in that feedback. Alrighty, let's move on to the engine and the gearbox, and we'll start with the gearbox. Not sure which route I want to go, either a automatic box or a 5-speed manual box. In fact, I don't even know what options are available to me out there. So if you've got any suggestions, whack it down below in the comments. I'd be very interested to hear that. That brings us to the motor, and that's the most exciting part of this build. I've had a Maloo with the LSA motor. I love that motor. So in between the chassis rails, I'm going to drop a 6.2 liter supercharged V8 LSA crate motor. So that ought to motivate this thing along quite nicely and perhaps even dust off the rice burner or two, which would be super cool. So that's what I've got planned for this old jigger. As I said, I'm absolutely open to suggestions. Please, this is going to be a big, long educational journey for me. And if you've got any suggestions, particularly if you've done this before, let me know. Hit that subscribe button, guys. You probably won't see another video on this one for a couple of months. And at that point in time, it'll probably be in bits. But thanks for watching. Thanks for spending your time with me today. Keep the shiny side up, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Bye now.